Dear Eve. People reply. Although it's possible you have.
Morning, Eve.
Oh, you're back. What was the cost to Dell? Whatever it was.
I'd rather be there than here.
Hiya.
Morning.
Morning.
Your pen pal. Wonder what he seals them down with.
You're disgusting. I don't think I can open it now. Dear Eve, I've no idea whether this letter, like my previous attempts, will reach you.
But I write in the hope that it does. I write too in the hope you will reply. Although it's possible you have. Your letters have been withheld from me.
Perhaps you are waiting for some sign of remorse.
I'm sorry, I have none. If I showed any regret for the things I did, you'd know I was lying. And that is my proof this letter is genuine. We also both know I have nothing more of my own crimes to offer. But as I mentioned before, I have acquired information
that I feel is of considerable importance.
So he's not here.
B-wing, sir.
Indeed, I now believe.
a life is at stake. If you could spare but a moment. Yours gratefully.
Brian Wicklow.
He needs a doctor. It's too late for Jeffrey, I'm afraid. But I need a towel.
Get him out of here. What happened, Brian?
I lost my pen.
Your pen.
I would like to report it missing. But is this really necessary?
Have the fun and games finished, Brian? Or is this where they start?
Boss?
Yeah, in the Foley case, you interviewed Brian Wicklow, yes?
Yeah.
Is he still writing to you?
Letter arrived this morning. Upping the ante, saying this time a life might be at stake.
Right. Well, I've just had a call from the prison. Apparently there's been an incident involving Wycliffe.
Incident?
Looks like he's murdered one inmate and nearly bitten the face off another one. Yeah, I thought you might like that. Come on. Any witnesses?
Probably. But the only two for definite is Colin Feather and Brian himself.
Anybody spoken to Colin yet?
No, but the hospital says he's going to be fine. Physically, at least.
Brian, he hasn't said anything.
Only that he's lost his pen. Jeff Egger.
I take it couldn't be suicide?
No.
Colin and Jeff cellmates?
Yes.
In for...
Jeff, he and his wife, the most appalling abuse of their own children. Colin was working as a male prostitute when he beat his punter to death. Due out in about 3 months.
Oh, well.
Wicklow, interview room.
It's all in the file, boss.
No use to me there.
Wicklow killed 8 women. His thrill was to incapacitate them.
But the last one had a child.
Emma. He wasn't expecting her to be there.
You mean he didn't intend to kill her?
She just happened to get in the way.
Bob?
Brian Wicklow, Mom. Sir.
Eve. A DJ. A nice clean shirt. Brian. This is a pleasure. I wasn't expecting... Oh, it's good to see you, Eve. How have you been?
Sit down, please, Brian.
Ooh. Do I detect a little more authority in your voice, Eve? Could there have been a promotion since we last met? I do hope so. Would have been most deserved.
A nice thought, Brian, but no.
Don't tell me Tom Weldon claimed all the credit for finding Emma.
No,
Then an injustice has been served.
hardly.
I disagree.
Jeff Eggers.
Tom here.
He's retired.
So you must have someone new.
DCI Bob Masson.
No, not a name I'm familiar with. Though I dare say if he's any good, someone in here will have made his acquaintance.
Is he like this the whole time?
When he has an audience.
We all know how you love to chat, Brian, but, Jeff Eggers.
Strangled, I'd say. Oh, please, Eve, don't you start. The very thought of physical contact revolts me. Why on earth should I even want to touch a creature like that, let alone kill him? I was merely looking for my biro.
Biro?
Yes. I walked into the cell. Scarcely had time to register what happened to Jeffrey when Colin attacked me. There have been attempts on my life before, and I'm not as ineffectual at defending myself as some would think. One elbow. Next thing I know, he's on the floor. I'm about to call for an officer when I notice that Colin's turning blue. He'd swallowed his tongue. I moved his tongue from the back of his throat and began... I was giving him the kiss of life.
Is that possible?
Ironic as it may sound, I have no interest in killing anyone.
But you said the very thought of physical contact.
It does. It was either that or have the poor fellow's death on my conscience.
Why didn't you mention any of this immediately?
Because you are the only one I know who's prepared to believe me.
Nice try. So what do you think happened? I'm afraid there's no other way.
Can't speak freely, write freely. Certainly not now someone has taken my biro. One of the few pleasures I have left, correspondence. Of course, not everyone has the time, if they did. I know I'm in here for life. And you might think I have nothing to lose, but I do.
Can you ever tell when he's lying?
So contrary to what everyone clearly believes, I did not kill Jeff. I didn't even touch him. And I wasn't trying to harm Colin. The truth of that matters to me a great deal.
But couldn't we just be chasing shadows here? Isn't it possible that Wicklow's telling us the truth and there's nothing remotely complicated about this whole thing?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll go to the rocket. You're after canteen, right?
You've seen your son?
Well, without... Yeah, I can't be 100% sure, but pretty sure, yeah.
And did you know?
No idea.
See.
I mean, obviously, after what I did to his mother, I have no right to suddenly walk back into his life, but I just wanted to see if he was okay, that's all.
And if he wasn't okay? I mean, would it help him, your son, if he knew who you were? Would it make things worse? Well, here's another way of looking at it. Do you think your sentence was fair? Okay. You feel you've been punished enough. You have paid your debt to society, you're now absolved of guilt, now a free man.
Is that what you think it is? I'm torturing myself, looking for Joss because I don't think I've been punished enough?
I don't know.
I live with what I did every day.
So if there was a happy resolution with your son, that wouldn't be the end of the matter.
No, he'd be a constant reminder for a start.
Is that what you want? Well, you know where to find me.
I'm DCI Masson. This is D.S. Granger. DC Roy Chowdhury. How you feeling?
Lucky to be alive.
Yeah?
After what that freak did to me.
Which freak would that be?
The psycho. I want compensation for this.
Brian Wicklow claims you attacked him.
You're joking? Well, I'm the one in hospital, aren't I? Christ. Next you'll be saying I killed Jeff. No way. No way. Oh, come on, Jesus!
In your own time.
I went into my cell, found Jeff hanging. I thought suicide, but then...
Then what?
Well, I could see the way the sheet or whatever was round his neck. And suddenly there's Brian, and he says something weird like, "Shall I tell you what I did to Jeff? Would you like to see?"
And then what?
Well, I wanted out of there. Tried, but...
What did he hit you with?
His elbow.
Did you know what Jeff Eggers was in for?
Yeah.
And how did you feel about that?
He was a paedophile.
You grew up in care.
So?
Just wondered if anyone had done to you the sort of things that Jeff had done.
Listen, I didn't care what Jeff has done, because I'm out of here in 3 months. I didn't kill him. I'd be insane to.
Can you think of any reason why Wicklow would want to kill Jeff?
Well, if you knew Brian, you know he doesn't need a reason. Well, not like normal people do. Please, you gotta believe me, I've done 10 years. I'm not going back inside, no.
No wonder he didn't cry out. think this is the only way we're going to solve it, boss. Forensically.
Oh, I like the vote of confidence, AJ. You worked out Wicklow before, but now that I'm in charge, we're forced to rely on science.
Boss, I didn't mean, well, last time we had help.
Help? What do you mean help? Where from? I thought that was down to my predecessor.
Well, the DI took the credit because our source didn't want anyone to know.
Professor Kerr.
No, Jake Osborne.
Jake Osborne?
Shot his wife on the PC when he
So he's out, is he?
Well, having spent 12 years inside with every kind of killer, including Wicklow, well, there are things he just knows.
Jake Osborne.
But without him, we'd never have found Emma's body.
So who invited him onto the case?
Me. We knew each other when we were young. But we spent our holidays together. Our mothers were very close.
Still keep in touch?
No.
The young PC that he killed, he was my godson.
I'm sorry, sir, I didn't know.
No reason why you should. No, I think we'll start off with someone who's actually studied for their qualifications. What's that?
Forceps. No. There's obstruction in his right nostril.
Looks like we found Brian's biro.
Oh, as long as we can prove it's his.
Brian's been locked up with plenty of paedophiles before now.
This one abused his own children. Could there be something in that?
Wow. His early history can only be guessed at. But an abusive childhood, I'd say that was a reasonable certainty.
Do you know what triggered him off in the first place? Why those particular women?
No.
But you persisted for, what was it, for 5 years. Surely you must have gained certain insights.
5 years? Yes. You know, few people realize the kind of long-term damage that can be caused working with people like that.
I see.
With respect, I don't think you do. Look, I'm sorry that I can't really be of any help.
It's been suggested that we talk to Jake Osborne.
Oh, well,
You don't think that's a good idea? By all accounts, he did pretty well first time round.
Well, yes. Was that insight? Was that the fact that he was sharing a cell with him? Look, I think you have to be extremely careful what you're asking of certain people. Brian likes to burrow under your skin. He likes to lay his eggs there.
I think we might have got something of yours, Brian.
Ah, my pen. Are you sure it's yours? Certainly looks like it. Where did you find it?
Someone pushed it up Jeff Edgar's nose, forcing it through into his brain.
Oh. Well, as long as it still works. What? When this whole thing began, I can't tell you how relieved I was when I saw it was you, Eve, because I thought you'd soon have the matter cleared up. But now you're starting to unsettle me. Do you seriously believe I'd kill Jeffrey Eggers merely to set up Colin? Why on earth would I want to do that?
You set someone up before, when he was about to be released.
And that's your case, is it? Colin's about to be released and you've got a pen that looks like mine.
It is yours.
That doesn't prove a thing. I told you. I lost the pen, I was looking for it, I went into Colin and Jeff's cell.
Colin says you attacked him.
Sure he does, and I don't blame him. But, given his history, putting him in a cell with someone who'd so enthusiastically abused their own children, it was an accident waiting to happen.
Given his history. He beat one of his punters to death with a ball-peen hammer.
He showed him pictures of the boys he'd abused in the children's homes where he'd worked, as Colin had been brought up in care.
And you believe everything everyone tells you?
He couldn't have lasted 3 days, let alone 3 months with Jeff. It was beyond the poor man's control.
And what happened to your control when Emma interrupted what you were about to do to her mother? You not only killed her, you were so angry with yourself, you literally tried to erase her existence. So isn't it more likely something happened that was beyond your control, and all this talk of Colin's history is merely transference? Who's to say Jeff didn't trigger some memory for you, Brian?
Dear Professor, My favourite theory of his was that I was a deeply repressed homosexual, and that with each victim, I was killing my female side.
So what were you doing, Brian?
Do you really want to know? If only I thought you'd enjoy listening as much as I'd enjoy telling.
You know, I can't help but wonder whether this is less about Colin and Jeff and more about Wicklow and my officer.
May I keep the pen?
No. Right then, Wicklow's family. What do we know?
Parents both dead. He has a sister.
Brian was burgled. His sister called the police, which ultimately led to his capture.
Talk to her.
Boss? Eve!
Go and see what your friend Mr. Osborne can tell you. Hmm? Anyone the Professor's jealous of is worth talking to, I reckon.
If you're sure, sir. Hello.
Hi. I didn't hear your car.
Oh, I drive quietly. You look busy.
Yeah, I've got all these to restore.
I haven't been in one of these since. I remember they used to set up a carousel in the square. I'm sorry I haven't been. I've been meaning to call.
Yeah,
but
don't worry.
if it was simpler.
I know. And you okay?
Yeah, I think so. Sorry, I better get this.
Sure.
Des. No. Well, if you'd said so before. Well, I've made arrangements too. That's just unfair. That's totally unfair. Oh, sorry, it's my ex changing wants the kids this weekend. No debate, no matter how inconvenient.
This isn't a social call, is it?
No. We don't know whether Brian's telling the truth, totally innocent, whether he killed Jeff, or whether... My boss thought maybe something out of Brian's past might have triggered it.
Yeah, maybe.
You don't think so? You once said Brian would never give up Emma's body unless he could replace it with something better, a fresh event. Well, could this be that? Now that Emma's been found, he needs to feed off someone else's misery.
Yeah, possibly.
Look, if this is difficult...
My guess, for what it's worth.
Thanks.
Biscuit. The whereabouts of Emma's body is Brian's most precious thing. Now that's gone, my guess is he'll want to know who stole that from him.
Stole it, then what?
Do the same to them. He never thought you'd find her, did he?
No.
Then by now he'll have realized that someone helped you.
Why do you say that?
Might think Wellborn fluked it. You or AJ could have stumbled over it. Be wondering about Professor Kerr, but no. I reckon mostly he'll be sitting there, going over every name, every conversation, every person he ever met inside, wondering who could have known. How? It may just be my paranoia, but I wouldn't be surprised if he has a list.
And be thinking if only he could get in touch with me, I might let slip a tiny detail, and that's all he'd need. He wrote to me. I didn't reply, so now he,
Well, look, like I said, it's just a guess. Maybe the thing to do is next time someone interviews him, you sit out. See how he reacts. If he's not bothered, then I go back to my carousel and you...
Detective Chief Inspector Bob Masson. Yes. No Eve today?
Nope.
So, to what do I owe this pleasure?
I think it's time you started telling us the truth, Mr. Wickler.
Is it true, Detective Inspector, that you once arrested a man for having sex with a horse?
Yes.
I'm afraid I find the knowledge of that singularly off-putting. No offense, but I'd rather this interview was with someone who didn't conjure up such a graphic image.
The autopsy and the forensic examination of your clothing are nearly complete. This might be a good time to ensure that everything in your statement is correct.
Where's Eve?
I'd like to speak to Mr. Osborne. Or is he another one who'll only talk to you?
The DCI's a little off. It's nothing to do with you. He's been like that with me, okay?
Yeah, sure.
Mr. Osborne.
This is DCI Masson.
Thanks for coming in. Before we start, I wonder if you wouldn't mind telling me how exactly you know Brian Wicklow.
I shared a cell with him very briefly one Christmas, and then later, I suppose I studied him, really, amongst others. Part of trying to understand why I did some of the things I did.
Why Wicklow in particular?
He caused a great deal of suffering to his victims, and I did to one of mine.
Would this be the man who was with your wife?
He wasn't killed outright, and I suppose I was looking for parallels.
Parallels?
And hopefully to reassure myself that whatever reasons I had, they weren't the same as Brian's.
Hopefully. And what reasons do you suppose Wicklow had?
He used to joke that what he was really doing to each of his victims was killing his mother. The irony being, of course, that if he had, then he wouldn't have killed all those other women, and by now he'd be free. If Brian set this up, then he'd have chosen the victim and the fall guy very, very carefully. Brian has a gift for extracting every last painful detail of people's lives and knowing best how to use it.
What else can you tell us about Mr. Wicklow?
Oh, are you worried he'll know it came from you?
Well, it could narrow it down, yes. Sorry.
Well, what if he knew you were helping us? What could he do?
Oh, I don't know. But he's all the time in the world to think of something. It only takes one person who owes him a favor, someone who could already be out there.
Okay. Well, just suppose he was looking for revenge. That's a personal question, this, but what would he see as your most precious thing?
My son.
Right.
Sir? Sir, have you got a second, sir?
Yeah, far away.
Seeking your advice, really, sir. If one of your team was sleeping with their informants, I'd take it you'd rather know.
I would, yeah.
And what if the person they were sleeping with was, well, had killed a police officer?
Oh, well, I'd be grateful if you could advise the person with that sort of information to, fuck right off.
He barked once and the woodkeeper looked up. The man's face cracked wide with a smile. And Senta knew. At last he was home. Mum, I thought we'd agreed we were going to keep the cellar door locked.
No messages.
She's someone out of my past.
Were you close?
No. Well, when we were kids, I was aware that she had a crush, but...
Does she know what you did?
Uh-huh.
How did she respond to that?
Upset. Angry.
And yet that hasn't put her off.
There's nothing on to put off.
That unsettles you. In what way?
In that I'm not ready. In that I don't know if I'll ever be ready. It's opened a door to a time of innocence.
Are you excluding the possibility of ever having a relationship again? You might not be ready to forgive yourself, but what happens if you meet somebody who is? Somebody who has feelings for you? Well, how can you be so sure? Look, what is it that really worries you? Rejection? Or is it something else? Might it be that if the same set of circumstances were to arise, you might do the same thing again?
I didn't think I would... I didn't think I would do that in the first place.
Bye, Peter. I don't think I'm going to be late.
Oh, yeah.
No, we don't have time
Maybe
for
later.
that now.
Found her. Brian's sister's changed the name, but she hasn't moved. DC Roy Chowdhury and this is DS Granger. I wondered
May I
if
see
you could
that,
come
please?
Yes, of course. It's about Brian.
30. Get back to your basket. One cannot be too careful. The interest in my brother, well, I'm sure you can imagine.
We were hoping you could help us, but realized that some questions might be quite painful. Were you and Brian close as children?
Yes.
And what about with your parents?
My father was very remote. But Brian was especially close to my mother.
In what way?
I suppose nowadays one might describe it as clingy.
Do you think there's anything in Brian's childhood that could in any way explain what he did later?
He's alleged to have done later.
Alleged?
He might have said he did it, but what Brian says he does and what Brian actually does are two very different things.
There was forensic evidence.
Brian was away. I reported a break-in. Suddenly, the eyes of the world are on Brian. He's not the sort of person to miss an opportunity like that.
I'm sorry, Miss Fletcher, but last year Brian led us to the whereabouts of a 6-year-old child he'd killed, the daughter of one of his victims.
And how had she died?
Well, given the length of time the body'd been in the ground, it was impossible to tell.
So you couldn't prove that my brother killed her?
The only reason we managed to find the body was when we realized the thrill Brian got by standing on the spot where he buried her and urinating.
I'd like you to go now.
Miss Fletcher.
Miss Fletcher, I know you and Brian were close. Can you tell me when you were last in touch?
We correspond.
Would it be possible to see any of that correspondence?
I don't keep it.
You've never visited him?
No.
Any particular reason why not?
No.
A man has died, Miss Fletcher. All we're trying to do is get to the truth. Look, I don't believe Brian was born the way he is. I think it's because he was hurt, because of what people did to him. And if we can find out what that was, we can help him. Stop him doing to others his version of what was done to him. Please, if we can
Having
help
inadvertently
break that...
caused one miscarriage of justice, I'm not about to furnish you with information that might cause another.
I think you're a very lucky girl. And now that you met the family, Brian will be picking out rings for you next. It's not revenge he's after, it's a wife.
Oh, piss off.
Brian.
Brian?
Nice to see you, Eve.
Do you know what Jeff and his wife did to their children?
Let me guess. You've been to see my sister in the hope of finding out whether it was possible that my parents could have done to me some of the unpleasant things that Jeff and his wife rained upon their own children. Could have saved you the journey.
Why? Because there's nothing to tell? Or because there is and you knew your sister wouldn't talk about it? What did your parents do to you, Brian?
My parents' only crime was having a belief in God. Disappointed, Eve. Next to be telling me that while my mother was still alive, there was a chance that she would accept me and love me for who I was. But when she died, all that hope was gone, and the urge to inflict my pain on others began. I think even Rodeo Bob could have come up with better than that.
No, what I think is that once you'd recovered from the shock of us finding that little girl's body, you set out for revenge.
Revenge?
You don't believe we could have found Emma unaided, so you sat there agonizing over what tiny bit of information you could have let slip. Was it to a prison officer, an inmate, a member of the family? You couldn't piece it together, could you? But if only you could speak to those on the case again, maybe. Maybe. So how best to get our attention? Kill someone and scoop their brains out with a fork? No, that's not your style. Something with a little more craft.
I don't know what you're talking about.
For all your bluster, I think something did happen with your parents. Your mother. I mean, out of everyone here, why single out Jeff? What was it, Ryan? What happened with your mother? What did she do to you?
No, nothing.
Nothing. And was that the problem? She could have done something. She should have done something. And she did nothing.
Still think he wants to marry me?
You did great.
I wish.
My wife and I have been a few friends around tonight, so...
Thanks, but I'm a bit crap at going out at the moment, AJ, sorry.
The hospital said yes to the IVF, and I guess we're having a kind of a launch party.
That's great news. Oh, I really hope it works.
Yeah, thanks. Anyway, if you change your mind...
Mr. Osborne?
Peter, can you lay the table?
No, I did it yesterday.
Oh, come on, Peter.
Okay, then. Mummy, look. Macma and Micah.
What are they?
Monsters.
Ooh.
Does Eve know you're here?
No matter?
I don't know.
She doesn't. See, if you're right, and Wicklow is doing all of this for revenge to get back at the person who stole his, for lack of a better word, his precious, then I'm starting to worry that Wicklow thinks that person might be Eve. You see, taking her off the case is just going to make it worse. I need something to throw him off the scent.
Brian, he told me one time. When you examined the body, did you look at the victim's eye?
His eye? Can you see it? Could be a fingerprint.
There we are. I remember a discussion once, mainly along the lines of, well, Brian raised the question. He said it was never easy knowing whether someone was actually dead or not.
Discussion?
And he mentioned,
Why didn't you tell us this before? He only told you, didn't he?
No.
If we mention it, he'll know you've helped us.
There were several
Who?
of us. I can't remember, but he presented it in such a way that it was like his favourite subject, so...
No, I'm not happy about this, boss.
You change your mind?
Really?
Well, look, it's like you said yourself. He's been locked up for 12 years with every kind of killer, and if you're going to set a thief to catch a thief, well... But it does have to be 150% professional.
Boss? What,
I don't want to know.
Well, you've nothing to worry about, sir.
Good. Not scared of Wicklow, eh?
Brian, you've said all along that you never touched Jeff's body.
Correct.
And how can you explain your fingerprint on his eyeball?
Pathologists are much more thorough these days.
Yes, but that fingerprint doesn't mean anything.
Only that you've been lying. It's my turn to be disappointed, Brian. Do you want to tell us what really happened? Well, I suppose there's no rush.
Wait. You're right. I did think there's a snitch, that one of my illustrious former inmates was helping you, but if you swear to me, Eve, swear it isn't true, I will happily tell you everything.
Sorry, we don't need a confession, Brian.
You think that's the end of it?
It is for us.
Wicklow, come on.
My boss sends his thanks, too. I don't think we'll ever be able to prove that Brian killed Jeff, but, well, at least I won't have to go on seeing him.
No. Although...
What?
nothing.
What?
How upset did Brian seem?
Well, not so much upset as sulky. Why?
What if we've got it wrong? Suppose Brian didn't do it.
Didn't do it, but then why?
Yeah, no, he knows that Colin can't stop himself. He has to kill Jeff.
So he lets him.
And Brian watches and then says, don't worry, I'll take the blame. But once you're out there...
AJ.
Get a doctor. Check him.
Airways clear. He's breathing.
How is he?
There's a pulse.
Right, let's get him on the floor. Get me the boss quick.
Right! Okay. We're going to move all potential targets until Colin Feather is found. Top of the list, DS Granger.
Let's have a little holiday. I'll bring it later. I'll bring this up later. No, not now.
Professor Kerr.
So, Colin is out there effectively acting as Wicklow's amanuensis. It's dreadful. You must catch him.
We will.
I mean, you really must catch him.
He's bricking it.
Had a little word with my boss, did you?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Pathetic. One night, what was it, 2 years ago?
Yeah, but for me, Sarge, it's as if it was yesterday.
My son?
Mm-hmm.
But he thinks I was killed in a car crash. I'd rather this isn't the way he finds out that I wasn't.
He won't find out. He won't.
Boss?
Thanks.
Pictures of the van he used to escape in.
Oh, well, he'll have dumped that by now.
We liked the green, didn't we? But we didn't like the brown or the red. The brown was too dreary. Oh, you gone out?
Which service do you require?
Police!
Stand there till I get back. Colin, stand there. No.
Hurt you!
I don't like chocolate. You're just a little
Crybaby.
No! Would you like a story? Then after we can have some chocolate.
Crybaby.
That's what they used to call me, too.
No.
Yes.
I'm not a crybaby.
No.
And nobody likes a crybaby.
Stop it!
Nobody likes a crybaby. Nobody likes a crybaby. Nobody likes a crybaby. Nobody likes a crybaby.
Eve.
Your sister's missing, Brian.
Barbara?
We think that Colin's taken her, but then that's probably no surprise to you, is it?
Colin? What would Colin want with my
Ironic,
sister?
isn't it, that the person who set you on your path, Brian, was also the one who unwittingly got you caught?
I'm sure I don't
It
know what
wasn't
you're
your
talking
mother
about.
that abused you, Brian, was it? It was your sister.
Now there's a thought.
Did you tell Colin what your sister used to do to you?
No, I'd never suggest anything like that to Colin. He's unstable.
All you had to do was wind him up like a clock. Where's he taken her, Brian?
I have no idea.
You wanted us to think it was you, Brian, hence the eyeball.
Well, I must have... I struggled to fight him off.
This is all about that little girl, isn't it? You were never going to give that up unless you could replace it with a fresh event. But when we found Emma, you needed something else to sustain you, the thought, the knowledge of what Colin's going to do to Barbara. You can still help us, Brian.
Tell you what.
Wicklow?
Why don't you consult your friend you seem so keen to protect? Maybe he can help you. Although, if he thinks like me, be careful.
There is no one, Brian.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't realize you were so close.
Colin might want to do to Brian's sister what was done to him, or at least make her feel the same pain, humiliation.
Nothing awkward, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Find out if there's anything back from CCTV.
Sarge?
Colin was at Oakwood Boys Home. It's derelict now. Well, we've covered all the care homes he was in.
Yeah, Colin, yes. Colin we can figure out. But it's where Wicklow might have sent Colin. That's what we're struggling with, isn't it? I mean, 8 previous murder sites?
Where he buried Emma's body?
I don't think so. I don't know. Sorry.
Chocolate. Sorry I've been picking on you. Shall I make it up to you? Yeah? Do you like chocolate? I didn't. A nice story. Centre was the youngest, smallest and wriggliest puppy the woodkeeper had ever seen.
Thanks for coming in.
But Joss, are you sure he's safe?
Yeah, of course. Look, I've got to pick up some stuff for my kids, because I'm going to be here all night. Can I give you a lift?
Yeah, thanks.
He plunged into the water, grabbing the child by the collar. He could hear people shouting on the riverbank. But, weakened by hunger, it took Centre all his strength to keep them both afloat. He hurried on, exhausted now.
Brian's loving every minute of it.
If I hadn't been so worried about my
Doesn't
own
matter.
safety...
Doesn't matter.
Last page. The strong smell of wild garlic filled the wood, and a trace of smoke from the cottage clung about the trees. He barked once. Woof! And the woodkeeper looked up. Centre. The man's face cracked wide with a smile. And Centre knew. At last, he was home.
Ace.
It's Mom's house.
I don't think we need these on anymore.
Anything you want? Coffee? Tea? I'll only be a couple of minutes.
Your boss. There's something else, isn't there? I mean, it's not just because I killed a police officer. Did he know him? Know him well? Right.
He didn't want you to know. Still doesn't. I'm sorry. I didn't know what
No,
to do.
much as I. This isn't. It's not going to. I think I'd better go.
I know it was a silly crush a long time ago. But I don't think it's a silly crush now.
If he thinks like me, be careful. Sorry, I didn't realize you were so close.
Where's Barbara?
She's not ready.
Where is she?
You can't stop me.
Colin, give me the knife.
No. No! No! No!
Colin! No! 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 It's over! It's finished! Just drop the knife.
This is just the beginning. Jeff, that, and the rest, they've all got it coming.
No.
Every single one.
You've been set up. This isn't about you, it's about Brian.
Shut up!
But then why are you here? What's this house got to do with you? He told you, didn't he? Do it here, do it in Eve's house. He wanted me to find Barbara. It wasn't your idea.
Shut up! Shut up!
Colin, is this what happened to you? Someone pretending to be nice, reading you a story?
No.
Colin, whatever pain you're in, this isn't going to stop it killing anyone who might have abused a child.
No!
There are people who can help, who can take the pain away.
No, there ain't.
No! This isn't the way! No, Dave!
You know, I never even liked chocolate.
Leave it!
Please let me do it!
hands.
Yeah. Would you like a drink, love?
Yeah, I've checked the bathroom, but it looks all clean. This carpet is great because it holds everything.
There's an ambulance here for
You
you.
don't need any help.
Miss Fletcher, I really think
I'd like
it's
to go home.
Okay. I'm sorry about Brian.
Brian? Brian would never hurt me.
Charming. Don't think he was going to make a table with it.
We found your sister. She's gonna be fine. As for Colin, well, that might take a little bit longer, but at least he's safe now. Was it worth it?
What else have I got to do?
Brian's never going to let me go, is he?
No.
Well, thanks a bunch.